So in example 1, we're going to look at this concept of a common denominator, and we're going to do it by answering this question. So put in order of largest to smallest. So we've got 1 over 3, 3 over 4, and 2 over 5. So the reason we have to use a common denominator is when we look at these three fractions, it's very hard to compare and find out just from looking at them which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest. So the way that we can make it much easier is to change the bottom number of each of these fractions so that they become the same number. So how do we decide what number they become? Well, the number that they become has to be a multiple of all three of these numbers. And the easiest way to do that is to just do 3 times 4 times 5. So 3 times 4 is 12, times by the 5 gives us 60. So if we use 60 as a common denominator, we know that 60 is a multiple of 5, multiple of 4, and a multiple of 3. Because 60 divided by 5 gives us 12, which is a whole number. 60 divided by 4 gives us 15, which is a whole number. 60 divided by 3 gives us 20, so that's a whole number. So let's go ahead and put all three of these fractions over this common denominator of 60. So we start with 1 over 3. So how can we take 1 over 3 and turn it into something over 60? Well, 3 times 20 gives us 60, so that means we must also do the same thing to the top. So that becomes 20 over 60. We can do the same with 3 over 4. So 4 times 15 gives us 60, therefore 3 times 15 will give us 45 over 60. 2 over 5. In order to get to something over 60, we have to times by 12, and then we must times by 12 on the top two, which gives us 24. So now that we have all three of our fractions over 60, it's much easier to compare and see which one's the biggest and see which one's the smallest, just by looking at the numerators. So we can see that this 20 over 60 fraction is the smallest, this 45 over 60 is the largest, and this 24 over 60 is going to be in the middle. So we want it in order of largest to smallest, so we put the largest first, 45 over 60. Then we put the next largest, which is 24 over 60. And then our next one is 20 over 60. In other words, this is 3 over 4, 2 over 5, and 1 over 3. And that's them in order of largest to smallest. So here we have example 2, so we're going to be looking at subtraction of fractions here. So we're going to do 2 and 3 over 5 minus 1 over 2. So subtraction of fractions is pretty simple, but it's only simple once we can get the denominator of both of these numbers to be the same. So again, you can look at a common denominator method. But first, we're going to take this 2 and 3 over 5 and we're going to convert it to an improper fraction. So 2 and 3 over 5. If you're not sure how to do this, then our previous lesson goes through how to go from a mixed number, which is this, through to an improper fraction and vice versa. But I'll just run through it quickly now. So we know it's going to be over 5. And then to get that top number, it's going to be 2 times 5 plus the 3. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 gives us 13. So now our question becomes 13 over 5 minus 1 over 2. So now we have to find our common denominator. So as we said in our previous example, our common denominator is a multiple of both 5 and 2. And the easiest way to get that is to just do 5 times 2, which gives us 10. So we know 10 is going to be our common denominator because 10 divided by 5 gives us 2, which is a whole number. And 10 divided by 2 gives us 5, which is a whole number. So we know 10 is a multiple of both 5 and 2. So let's go ahead and convert our fractions. So 13 over 5 becomes something over 10. So to go from 5 to 10, we have to multiply by 2. So we have to do that on top as well. That becomes 26 over 10. 1 over 2 becomes something over 10. So to go from 2 to 10, we have to multiply by 5. So we have to multiply by 5 on top as well to give us 5 over 10. So now our question is 26 over 10 minus 5 over 10. Now since we have common denominators, so since we have 10 here and 10 here, the same number, to answer this becomes very simple. So we know our answer is going to be over 10. And simply to get our top number, it's just going to be 26 minus 5, 21. And now if the exam wants us to do it as a mixed number. So this is an improper fraction because the top is bigger than the bottom. Then to go to a mixed number, we know it's going to be 2 and 1 over 10. And again, if you're not sure how to go from here to here, then check back our previous lesson. We go through an example of how to go from improper through to mixed number. So here we have example 3. We've got 3 over 6 plus 4 over 8. So we're going to use the same method that we used in our previous examples. We're going to find a common denominator first, and then we're going to just simply add together the top two numbers. So we could do, like we've done in the previous ones, we could just do 6 times 8 to give us our common denominator, which is 48. But I just want to do a slightly different method here. So instead we're going to look at the LCM. So just like we did in lesson 4 of this course, so if you're not sure how to find the LCM, go back and check out lesson 4. So we're going to find the LCM of 6 and 8. So let's start with 6. So we'll start off with doing our tree method. So 6 breaks down into 2 and 3. Well, this is prime and this is prime, so we don't go any further. So we know that 6 is equal to 2 times 3. Now let's do 8. So 8 can break down into 2 and 4. So this is prime, so we leave it. But 4 breaks down further into 2 and 2. So now we have our prime number. So 8 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2. In other words, 2 cubed. And our LCM is going to be, just like we said in lesson 4, it's going to be every single number that appears in both this, and it's going to be the highest power of those numbers. So 2 appears in here and 2 appears in here, but 8 has 2 cubed, so we're going to write 2 cubed times by 6 has a 3 in. 8 doesn't have a 3, but since 6 has it, we're still going to put 3. So 2 cubed is 8 times by 3 gives us 24. So now we're going to use 24 as our common denominator. And we've got this by looking at the LCM of both 6 and 8. So let's go ahead and convert our fractions now. So we've got 3 over 6, and we need to put this over 24. So to go from 6 to 24, we need to multiply by 4. So we're going to do that on top as well to give us 12. So that 3 over 6 becomes 12 over 24. 4 over 8. We need to put it over 24. So 8 times 3 gives us 24. So 4 times 3 is going to give us 12 on top. So now our question has become 12 over 24, this fraction, plus 12 over 24 from here. So that means our answer is definitely going to be over 24 because we've got two denominators of 24. And then we're just going to do 12 plus 12 to get a top number, which is also 24. So 24 over 24, which of course is the same as 1. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Today we looked at finding the common denominator and some simple addition and subtraction of fractions. Check back in next week for our next lesson in our course on GCSE Foundation.